Hi, this is Chris with the Sheepdog Church Security Academy, and this is your church security roll call. Today we have a special episode where we're going to be sitting down with U.S. LawShield to talk about the type of legal protection that they provide and a lot of questions that were asked by my alumni and all that good stuff. So hopefully this is just going to be a great time for you to learn about the basics of U.S. LawShield and really just the importance of having it. So today we have Courtney on. Hi, Courtney.
How you doing, Chris? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you. So first, before we even get started, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with U.S. LawShield?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And again, I'm really excited. I really appreciate the opportunity for you to having me on here. I'm born and raised in Wisconsin. Hopefully no one holds that against me, but I started out my career actually in athletics administration, being a college athlete. From there, I had a father who was involved in law enforcement and felt that pull. So I did spend a short amount of time in law enforcement, but very grateful I did that, which then led me to the career with U.S. LawShield, where I get to go out and educate and talk to the good people with guns and making sure that they're responsible gun owners. And I've been with U.S. LawShield. It'll be coming up on about 4 years here.
Okay, awesome. So let's kind of jump in then. So a lot of my listeners and people watching the YouTube channel and people working in, church safety and security, if you will, or really, any sort of safety ministry, one of the current concerns a lot of them have is the legal liability that can be connected to this type of thing. I mean, these people, they're patrolling the grounds of their church. Maybe they're in the parking lot or inside the building and they're doing their job. And then suddenly there's a disturbance. There's somebody that's presenting a violent physical threat and they have to intervene. And so here you have, for lack of a better term, a normal person who's not in law enforcement, who's not in security. They're a volunteer and they're using some sort of physical action to safeguard other people from physical harm. And that can be anything from, a fist fight to use of defensive spray or, even lethal force. And so that's, so their concern is this now is, what happens when I get arrested and charged with a crime? What kind of protections do I have? And then even the civil part. So tell us about U.S. LawShield and how that can kind of put their minds at ease a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a great thing, and I'm so glad more people are finding out about this, especially through your work. And I guess what I left out about me is I also serve on my church security team here in Wisconsin, and so absolutely I get this question all the time. I've had our attorneys speak to our group, which was wonderful. That's certainly something that we're passionate about, making sure people are educated. And again, that's why I'm with U.S. LawShield, because it is such an important thing to think about. A lot of people don't think about what happens after an event. And with U.S. LawShield, if you are in that unfortunate circumstance of having to act, we're going to be there for you in the aftermath, what you're going to do. And I know we'll get to this, right? We'll talk about the 911 call. But then we have that this emergency number that you call, and you're immediately connected to an attorney. These are men and women that we've found to be the best of the best out there. That this is what they do. They are criminal defense attorneys that specialize in this gun law, self-defense law, all around the United States.
Yeah. So, well, let's go there. So let's say somebody's they had to whatever level of force. I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Well, let me just clear that up. So do you guys care at all if I punch if in defense I'm punching a guy or shooting a guy? Does that make any difference at all in the protection?
No, we are a legal defense company for self-defense. So whether it is a firearm on down to, I tell people, pot, pan, your kitchen knife, your fists, we will be there to help you through that situation.
Okay, so let's go through that then. So I have to use some level of force at church, and the cops are on the way, and we have somebody with with maybe injury that because of what I had to do. So now So I call 911 first, right? That's the first most important thing to do. Then what? What happens? What's the process, and what should we be doing?
Yeah, and you're walking through that. I guess the thing I would touch on is that 911 call. Both of us have served in law enforcement. We know how those sound oftentimes. I would caution people that you're going to be panicked. It's going to be a tough situation. So that's something that you don't need to go into all the details on that call either. They just need to know your name, your location, a very brief description of what happened. And that you need help. You need that police response. You need an ambulance or two, whatever that sounds like. And we are then going to tell you to hang up the phone with 911. I know many dispatchers are wonderful people and they're trying to get as much information as they can, but this is a situation where we certainly don't want you to put yourself in more legal jeopardy. So we say to hang up that phone with 911, and that's when members of ours call that emergency hotline and they're immediately connected to an attorney. So best case scenario is that you're able to call that number before the police get there. You call that number, that attorney is going to pick up the phone right away. I know I spoke to, met several of our attorneys, and I believe they typically say, it's like within 2 rings, you have them on the phone and they're going to walk you through that, what needs to happen through the police questioning, through the investigation, whatever that is. And I know we'll get into a lot more of what that coverage looks like. If you're unable to call us prior to police arrival, we all know that, right? We are good, responsible, law-abiding citizens. So you will tell the police, yes, I'm absolutely going to cooperate. I've been through probably one of the most difficult situations in my life. I need a minute, and I will answer your questions as soon as I speak to my attorney.
Yeah. Yeah. And usually the answer is shut up. Right.
That is, yes, I do tell people, I apologize for saying this, but if you can remember it, shut your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, that 911 call is being recorded, and those are in law enforcement. That's considered spontaneous statements.
Yes.
And so that's why you need to keep that, that's admissible.
Yes.
Same thing once the police get there, especially now, they all have body cams. Mm-hmm. And so things are being recorded live and in 4K. And so, you need to really control yourself and, get that attorney on the line as soon as you can, let the cops know, hey, I need to talk to my attorney. I need to come down and then I'll be happy to cooperate. All right. So next question for you is a lot of us have questions about use of force laws, restrictions. Can we get advice on that? We talked a little bit about this. One of the constant calls I get is people saying, hey, I'm trying to write the church's use of force policy, or I'm trying to write, and of course, all of that seriously touches on local law. Mm-hmm. So is there something that they can do? Can they use US LawShield, those attorneys, for that type of thing, or at least get some advice?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's maybe one of my other favorite things about the company is that our members have that access to our attorneys. We have an additional business line that they can call Monday through Friday during business hours and get those questions answered. So I know a lot of the instructors I work with, certainly people like yourself, our retail stores, our retail partners that we work with, aside from just our regular members, they can call that business line with whatever, self-defense related questions, gun law questions they might have, and get those questions answered from an attorney. You and I both know that carrying a firearm, having a firearm, traveling with a firearm, it's a big responsibility, and making a mistake, breaking the law can be a huge deal, can be very costly. So we always say, I tell people, please don't Google that stuff. You don't want to just get random answers over the internet. You have direct access to the experts that can give you the actual answers on the law. So that's a wonderful thing that US Law Shield provides as well. You can have that additional contact with our attorneys. You don't need to just wait to call them in an emergency. You can call them. Like I said, it's a Monday through Friday deal, right? It's not an emergency line, and they'll get back to you. I hear a lot of people using it for when they travel, right? Because laws are different all over. So, even being here in Wisconsin, I can call and ask to speak to someone in Florida if I'm coming down there and say, just brief me on what the laws are, and I'll get those answers directly from the expert, our attorneys.
Perfect. So any other educational components to being a member of US Law Shield? Yeah,
and I guess one of my other favorite parts is that our attorneys will actually go out and speak. They'll provide legal law seminars. That's something that we do that's free for our members. That would be all around the country. So our members, I would encourage them, if there's some watching now, go on our website, see where those are available in your area. Those will cover all sorts of different topics regarding, self-defense law, things like that. So that's really neat, along with, just the educational content we do have on our website. We don't send out tons of emails. We know people don't love that, but when there's a crucial, new law coming out or something's coming where we want to alert our members that this is happening in your state, we will send out that information as well. Kirk Evans is our president. He does a wonderful job. He's an attorney, going over the laws in the different states and doing a brief explanation of what's going on. So we'll disperse those to our members as well. We want to make sure they're, first of all, educated, obviously prepared for the situation, and lastly, we want to protect them.
Yeah. So these seminars that you were talking about, are you holding them all over the country, or is it just tend to be in certain areas? And what if someone in Maryland wanted to host some, like that?
Yep. Great question. Yeah, they're definitely hosted all over, depending on our partners' availability to host them. If there is, an instructor, one of our partners that's interested in doing something like that, I would encourage you to get in touch with that rep in your area. If they don't know who that is, certainly you can share my email with them. I'm happy to get them in touch, or just call into our customer care center. They're wonderful there, and they'd be able to get them in touch with who that appropriate person would be to set something like that up, because they're great. Every time I've done them, people enjoy them. They get to ask those questions live, right, to the attorneys.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I didn't realize you guys did that.
Yeah, it's really fun. They're some of my favorite events to be at.
Yeah, I've seen them come across a little while, every once in a while, like, oh, too bad I don't live in Tennessee, or that kind of stuff. And that's great that, there's at least an opportunity, a path that we could take to get some of these local deals set up. That's really awesome. So you got the 24/7 coverage, emergency line, you got the non-emergency line for all those questions, you got the seminars, and then you got other educational components and the occasional email for updates. That seems like this would be expensive. How much for an average person in one state? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, I get that all the time. I'll be presenting to maybe a concealed carry class, and I'm talking about, you get an attorney, attorney fees are covered, everything. And I see people's eyes, widening, thinking, oh my gosh, how much is this? And the great thing is, and again, why I'm with this company is because our leaders saw the need for this, but also saw the need to keep it affordable for everyone. There are certainly people out there that, are in different, areas of the world and different needs. So we've kept it affordable. It is $10.95 to become a member of US Law Shield. We do have an annual membership as well. That is $131.40 for a year. And there's certainly, depending again on where you are across the country, there's certainly other specific things we could go into, but those would be the base membership prices.
Yeah, I know there's some add-ons that people can do depending. So I live in Minnesota. I almost never leave, though I will be in Wisconsin, by the way, in July. But other than that, I just look at Minnesota coverage. Now, if I'm a traveling guy and I'm going to Wisconsin in July, or let's say I'm driving down to Florida to see my brother, it's my understanding you can add additional states for that kind of coverage?
Yes. So, right, the 1095 price will cover you in your state of residence. When you travel, we have what's called the multi-state protection, which will then cover you, across the United States. So whether you're just going to Wisconsin, you don't have a separate add-on for Wisconsin. It's an extra $2.95 to get the multi-state coverage. And you can use it just when you need it, which is nice. So if you're just traveling, for a week, you can give our customer care team a call. You can go on our website to your own membership portal and add that on. And then when you get back to your home state, you can deactivate it or take that off, so you don't have to pay for something you're not using, which I think is a pretty cool thing. I only use it when I'm out of state. I have to get up to Minnesota myself, so we'll have to cross paths when you're here and when I get up there. But right, I just have that multi-state coverage on when I'm out of the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, $3.
Right.
I mean, come on. That's hardly anything at all. And $3 for July, and yeah, that's great. So I thought I saw something else on the site, another add-on, and I had not really considered this because maybe I don't think through things well enough, but it was a bond, covering the bond if I got arrested and had to bail out of jail.
Yes.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Yes, so that is going to be a little bit different in every state. So I'm not going to keep us here for an hour explaining all that across the United States, but basically it is right. Yes, if you are arrested for some reason, you don't get us on the phone right away. You are arrested, and you have that bail bond expert witness coverage. We can help out, with the bail or bond, whatever it is in each state, and also provide an expert witness at trial. And again, with your background and mine, I think we both know how helpful an expert witness can be at a trial, but we also know that they are very pricey to also have as part of your defense team. So that's something, again, $2.95 for an add-on for that bail bond and expert witness coverage, which could be right that even just paying your bail again, or getting an expert witness in the door, you're looking at quite a bit of money there.
So really, we do have to look at local law and make sure everything's that lines up for us.
Yeah, yep. And it's pretty easy to find, again, right on the US LawShield website. You can go and find what's available in your state.
That's phenomenal because, I was talking to my wife the other day. If I got arrested and they, for self-defense, and they threw me in jail and they put on some sort of, bond on me. And even though if I went through a bail bondsman, I still have to cough up 10% of that money. So if they drop $50,000 bond on me, I got to drop, $5,000. I don't have 5,000. Who's got $5,000? I'm just, not me. I don't have $5,000.
You and me both. So again, keeping it affordable for those people, I think, is really, it's a big deal to us. And I'm grateful that, our leaders, we've been able to do that with the success of the company, keeping it at that rate. So even, if you do the 1095 plus one of the add-ons at $295, you're still only looking at $13.90 for a month.
Some of us pay more than that for coffee in a month.
Tell me about it.
And I think it's even cheaper than Netflix. I don't know what the current.
I'd have to look into that.
That's going to go a lot farther, help you a lot more than Netflix will anyway.
Yes.
All right. So I have, I got some questions from alumni. So every Thursday we have a meeting at 10 p.m. in the morning, or 10 a.m. in the morning. Yes, that's what I meant. And we just kind of have open discussion. I let them know that, we're going to have this conversation today, and, this will be up on YouTube. And so they threw some questions, and I figure the best way to do this is almost like rapid response. You don't have to totally get down in the weeds, and they're in no in particular order. Okay. Just chaos. Okay. First one that they asked was, what about exemptions? What kind of exemptions exist in the policy?
Yeah, this is, I get this quite a bit. I think the easiest way to answer it, again, for not keeping us here for an hour, is that, right, you can't be committing a crime. And we've talked about this. You can't be robbing a bank, a convenience store, someone shoots at you, you shoot back and claim self-defense would be the easiest way to explain that. But certainly I would encourage people to read over our policy and reach out to us if they do have additional questions on that.
Yeah. Okay, good. Next thing is, somebody asked about your your telephone app. Is that up and running? Is it good?
Yes, it is. Again, yes. So that launched, gosh, when was that? Earlier. So last year, 2022, actually here in Wisconsin, we were one of the first states to roll it out. So I was pretty excited about that. Yeah, so we do have an app now for US LawShield. People can sign up through our app. If you're a current member, you can download that app and add that obviously as another resource with educational tools on there. The nice thing, even for people that aren't members yet, again, a big thing is that we do want to continue to educate people. There's a free travel guide on there. So if people are, again, they're traveling, want to take their firearm with them across state lines or flying, we have a resource in there to help people, with how to do that properly and be a responsible gun owner. Then as people, are members, they have awesome access. One of my favorite things, again, to keep people educated around the United States is when you're a member, you get access to our use of force guides, not only for your own state, but again, many other states across the nation, there's a use of force guide. So basic, self-defense laws in your state or one that you might be traveling to, and also travel guides for the different states. So I, again, have to get up to Minnesota. So I will often pull that up right on my phone, look at what Minnesota, because our laws are quite different, Chris. So
yes, they are.
Yeah, so I will often just remind myself, along with calling into our attorneys, to remind myself what I can and can't do. But the app is great. Just go to, I'm an Apple user. I don't know Android as well, but go to whatever app store you have. Just look up US LawShield. It'll come up with the shield, right? US LawShield. It's an easy download. It's not a huge app, but we're going to continue to add additional information on there for our members.
Perfect. All right, next question I have for you is coverage on appeal. So I'm found guilty of a lesser crime, hopefully. And does coverage continue if we want to fight it?
Yeah, I think, what I didn't cover at the very beginning was, right, so that emergency number, let's start with that. That's available 24/7, 365. So something happens on a holiday, gosh, Christmas morning at 3 a.m., you are still going to get an attorney on the phone, whatever time or day that is. We will then, like I said, we'll cover you, help you through that police questioning, the investigation. However, though that can take months, I think we both know that. We will help you through any, criminal case and civil suit. And absolutely, if something were to go awry, we will take that on appeal. And Chris, I don't think we touched on this, right? There's no limit to our coverage. So we're not going to cap you out and say, now you need to start paying. There's no reimbursement program. Your attorney fees are covered.
Wow. Excellent. All right. I do have one more question, but before I get into that last question, is there anything else you want to touch on at all? So we talked about the 24/7 emergency hotline. We talked about coverage from police questioning, what to do throughout the investigation. We talked about legal defense of criminally charged or facing civil lawsuit, no limit, no coverage. All legal weapons covered, to include the fist that we talked about.
Yep.
We talked about the business line. We talked about education. We talked about the app. We talked about the cost. This is something I'd like to talk about real quick is what about insurance myths? A lot of people out there, they've got, I won't say any companies, but they hire other insurance companies that cover armed citizens. How would you compare yourself to them, or maybe some things people should be asking about those policies, reviewing their policies? What can you say about that?
Those are great. And this could definitely be a long conversation. What I will say first with insurance myths, right? People think self-defense insurance. Well, do you love to call into your homeowner's insurance or car insurance company? That's typically not a real fun call and difficult to work through. With us, right, it's not like that. So, right, we don't have any limits to our coverage. There's no deductibles that we're going to ask you to pay outside of the $10.95 monthly membership fee. again, there's no reimbursements of any kind. With us, that phone call is very easy. Like I said, you call that emergency hotline, that attorney picks up the phone. You don't have to press 1, 2, 3, go through some crazy phone line. That attorney picks up the phone and they're going to handle everything from there. It's a very, very easy phone call to make. With us, there are some other competitors out there that you do have to call into a call center. When the seconds count, when you have police officers standing there waiting, wanting to question you, they're trying to call around and find an attorney who might be available. I'm not an expert on those other companies, but what I can tell you about us is, right, again, I'll reiterate that you call that number, an attorney picks up the phone and is going to handle everything for you right then and there.
It's funny that you bring up the whole dealing with insurance companies. Of the times I've had to call auto and homeowners insurance for a settlement, they've never been generous. They are trying to get out of paying as much as they possibly can because their loyalty is to the stakeholders of the company. That's where their loyalty lies. And maybe I'm just cynical, but I think about in law enforcement, and we talked a little bit behind the scenes about this, is like the city attorney that would come defend me as a cop cares most about the city. And they don't care about that cop. In fact, one place I worked, Huntsville, Alabama, we had these 3-ring binders. I swear to you, we had 2 of them, and they were easily 4 or 5 inches deep in pages. And they were all it is a lot of excuses to cut the officer free, saying he violated policy, therefore we're not covering him. And so, it's where are the loyalties? And one of the things I like about US LawShield is this. They're not the attorney provided by the church that works for an insurance company. They're my attorney.
Exactly. And that is what's super important. They are there to fight for you. They will have your best interests in mind.
While the trial's going on, I want them to go to sleep thinking about me and waking up thinking about me, not thinking about the insurance stakeholders and how little we can get away from, taking care of this. So I think it's great. All right. Any last things before I drop this last question on you?
Go ahead.
Okay. The last question is this, and I think it's a good question a lot of people are asking, and that is, why should I switch? If I'm with another insurance company, why should I switch to US LawShield?
Yes. Yeah. It's a great question. Right. And I'm happy to talk on it. I get the question a lot. I will tell you, usually when I tell people the cost and they go, your coverage is only $10.95 a month. I'm like, because we have such a wide network, so many members, everything like that, we are able to keep it affordable. And again, that's something that our leadership is very important to them, to keep this affordable so that everyone does have access to proper and sound legal defense. So that is, I think, a big one that we are one of the most cost-effective companies out there. The other big thing we've already touched on is that you have that immediate access to the attorneys. Like I've said, when seconds count, when minutes count, when those officers are wanting to question you, you'll get that attorney on the phone right away. And lastly, really what we focus on, is the law. We want to make sure that everyone's updated, keeping current. Things are changing rapidly, right? Or all around the country, or at least some people are trying to change them. And we want to keep people educated on that. We want to make sure that we have responsible gun owners out there as well, that know the laws. So that's something that we're passionate about. Again, I'll go over our tagline is to educate, prepare, and protect. It is really at the root of what we do. I think, why I've been with US LawShield for so long, going on 4 years now, is some of the things we talked about. The coverage for police officers, the coverage for security teams that are working on duty. There are, some companies that, right, since you're putting yourself in those more dangerous situations, may not cover that. And we certainly will. And we want to, the biggest thing is what I've learned from our leadership and being with the company is that we simply want to take care of people, the good citizens, law-abiding citizens that are out there doing the right thing, only there to protect themselves or their families. if they protect their life, they protect their family's lives, we're going to be there to protect their freedom.
Awesome. Awesome. So now so what's your region and responsibilities, and how, if people in that area, how would they get a hold of you and all that stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've done a few different things with US LawShield, and it's been wonderful. I'm actually super excited with the direction of where the company's headed. Certainly we've had some really positive changes in the last about year and a half, 2 years. It's a really exciting time to be a part of US LawShield. And so I started out on our field sales team, just going out and speaking to concealed carry classes, letting them know about US LawShield. Currently, I'm the director of retail development. So what I do, that is in Wisconsin and Minnesota. So I go out and talk to our retail partners, mostly, gun shops, gun stores, and we're just trying to develop those relationships. Obviously, we have like minds, and making sure that they're able to offer something like US LawShield to their customers as well. I still go out and talk to concealed carry classes, but if people want to get in touch with me, I don't know if there's a way for you can simply share my email if you'd like.
Yeah, I can do that.
cfryatt at uslawshield.com. I'm happy to help out however I can. This is something I'm coming from law enforcement, and now into this, I'm super passionate about just making sure people know that there is something out there, to where when you've had probably what is going to be your worst day, there is someone out there that is going to be able to help you through and see you through on the other side, certainly through what can be a very difficult process through our legal system.
Awesome. And I'll also drop a link that can lead all of you that are watching and listening. It'll bring you right over where you can sign up for it, learn more about it, sign up for it, get this thing done. My wife and I both have it. I need to buy it for my daughter, who now works security at a mall. And I know they will cover her for just like a city will protect its law enforcement officers. But yeah, it's a great product. And guys, you got to check it out. You got to go, at least click on that link, go over there, review their page. They got a lot of good information on there, and sign up for it. I mean, $131 a year. I mean, like I said, spend more money on coffee and Netflix than those two things. And just to have that peace of mind, right? Because I know a lot of churches are going through transitions with their insurance, and they're dealing with insurance companies that don't offer a rider to cover armed volunteers. And that's a whole thing. And when you try to get to a church to get together and change insurance companies, it becomes a year-long process. I mean, it just takes time. But this is something you could do today.
Correct. Yeah. And I would encourage it, right? Because we've seen it. We've seen people that they've signed up and had to act a few days later. And guess what? We're right there. It doesn't matter if someone just signs up yesterday and they had to act today. They're going to get that full coverage as well.
Yeah. I mean, I got to run to the grocery store today. What's going to happen up there? Now, I don't want to be, like I'm always afraid or whatever, but we're vigilant always, especially out in public, right? We're not in code white where we're not paying attention. We're at yellow. We're a relaxed awareness, and something could happen today at the grocery store. And it's just nice to know I can whip that card out, call that number, and say, probably what I'm going to say is something to the effect of, right? I mean, you're going to be under stress. You're going to be freaking out. And instead of trying to deal with a call center, I'm dealing with the attorney, and they have experience and knowledge. And I got to think that to some degree, my stress level is going to come down just a little bit once I'm talking to an attorney.
It's what they do. And I've met several. They are just wonderful people inside and out, and they are there to fight for you and really help you through what's a difficult situation.
Yeah. And even another thing too is, a lot of times we have in our mind of that perfect Hollywood situation that it's going to be so justified. It's so wonderful. One of your most famous customers in this realm is Jack Wilson. And a lot of people don't realize that it took 9 months for him to finally be acquitted by the grand jury. That's 9 months of going to sleep, and your brain is just cranking away, right? Don't you want somebody that's on your side, that attorney, that's that's taking care of it, right? They're taking care of it. And that
Exactly.
was a good shoot. That was
Yes.
clean shoot.
Yes, and Jack Wilson, wonderful man, by the way. Viewers can go to our website, uslawshield.com, and find there's a video section where they can watch Jack Wilson's story and what he went over. They did a nice job. It's only about 5 minutes, so if they're sick of listening to us and they just want a short video, they can go over there and watch that story along with a couple other member stories as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here today, talking with me, I think we're talking to about 10,000 people right now. So, I mean, that's quite a few people. I'm pretty sure most of them probably at this point don't have US LawShield, but now they've learned something and they got a decision to make, and hopefully they make one that's going to work out for them in the long run. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah, I thank you again for having me. We would certainly love to have anyone as a member. If you do have additional questions, please feel free to go to our website, reach out to our customer care team. We're great at answering those questions. And Chris, what we also talked about early on was what I wanted to leave you with too, is it's, again, a really exciting time to be with US LawShield. I can't speak exactly for what's coming, but we are going to have some additional offerings soon, hopefully later this year, for our instructor partners, our retail partners, and of course our members, some additional benefits that we'll be able to provide. So I guess I'll tell everyone to stay tuned, and maybe we can get together again soon and discuss those.
Yeah, that would be great. Once the changes come along, we should do another show and talk about them.
Yep, absolutely. But thank you again, sincerely, for having me on. I hope people found this helpful. And again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to our team.
Excellent. All right. So thank you all so much for joining us this week. If you like this video, please share, comment, let's get a discussion going in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer the questions, or at least push you in the right direction, whatever it takes, but just do that. It lets the algorithm know that this is a video or a podcast that's worth sharing. Please do that. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us. And hey, let's be careful out there. This program is made for informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal advice.